Okay, I actually just took a small break to download the films off of the camera, off the phone. Actually, I was afraid it's gonna get, full and stop somewhere. So we'll continue with this now. I think everything here is okay. Stays here. Okay, so I think these two are okay. I'm gonna work on the back there. I can put more crystals in the back, I think, because it's in the back. You would not, you wouldn't see it that obviously. So actually, I'm gonna get rid of this big leaf here, and try to fit this in here. I put it fairly deep, so just the top of the crystal is visible. So it's kind of going over the pot now. So that can stay there. Yeah, it's fairly out of the way. And then we'll have this guy. It doesn't look bad. Maybe I can move it closer. Boy, this is hard to. Change the angle a bit so it looks like the tree is kind of resting on it. Yeah, I think I like that. Let's take a look from the back here. Yeah, I'll go with that. And this will have it slanted a bit towards that side. Actually, from the front, this guy, it's kind of behind the main tree. I gotta move it more to the right. So, let's see if I could do that. And I can move this guy as well. Let me see. Okay, yeah, that's much better. It was behind the main tree before. So I guess it's important to always check the whole picture, the big picture, every once in a while. I'm gonna remove some of these foliage. Now, removing these foliage doesn't really do anything for the forest. It's easier for me to work. But as you know, these guys will just grow really long, leaves. Maybe the pot, once I start doing bonsai, it'll reduce the size of the leaves, but I don't know. But yeah, I just want to reduce it for now so that it looks somewhat good. So I think this looks okay now. The lean for that is good. The lean for the back, maybe just a little bit more. Yep, okay. Now we'll work on the small end back here with the really large leaves, which I'll probably get rid of soon once more grows out. What can we do there? Maybe just a little bit of just a small rock. We're going outwards from it. It's barely visible, but okay. No, I need this to point up. Yeah, that's good. Okay, I'm happy with that side for now. So let's work on maybe a little bit in the front here. I still have a lot of these crystals, and I don't have to use them all up today, but you know. Actually, I'm going to put this on this side just to hold it in place. I wonder if that's leaning too much to the right. Maybe a bit more. Maybe what I had before was okay. I was thinking moving this towards the back a bit. It's a bit too much in line with the rest of the stuff, and I think I will. I'm just not happy with where it is now. Just a little bit shift, I think will make a pretty big difference. Yeah, I think that looks much better. I'm just trying to fix the lean on this particular one so that it's not too symmetric with the other one. So yeah, I think that's fine. Yeah, okay, I'll go with that. Maybe I'll kind of twist this a little bit towards this side. Okay, good. So I think we're good. Maybe maybe just a small thing. Small piece for the back here. A little bit higher than that. Now I'll moss in between these. So I might have too much soil. Yeah, I might have too much soil over on the edge here. I'll move it to this side because once I put the moss on, I don't think there'll be any space left. Very easy to move these guys since they're not rooted or anything. Let me check that again. I think I lost a little bit of the lean there. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Okay, I think we are ready for mossing. So I'm just gonna grab the moss and we'll put it on top. All right, I got my moss. Some here, you probably can't see that well. I got some in the bucket under the table as well. And then I got some on the side here. And these kind of moss is my favorite kind. It's the ones that you find in between like patio stones. They're like really tight and it's like a felt. It feels like a felt. Kind of like a green on a golf course, except I think it's actually might be finer than that. I'm not sure. I don't really golf, so I wouldn't know. So we'll start, and you know, we'll see how the mossing goes. I haven't really kind of done this for a forest planting, and you know, I've always used moss so far in the last few months for bonsai just to kind of mulch the areas. But this I need to kind of place them to make it look nice, you know. So we'll start with this part here. I think I'll first try to get the sections in between the rocks with the small, tight kind of moss, because it fits the bill, first of all, because they like to be squished because they grow in the patio stones. So why move them from their natural habitat or natural ways of growing? Try to push that in tight. I don't have that many of these kind of the good kind of moss, I guess you can say. But so you know, we'll see. See if I can squeeze that in there. Hope that works. Trying to place them in without disturbing the rest of the stuff. I'm trying to clean this moss up. There's a lot of dog hair. Yeah. So put that in there. And I think this will fit nicely in the front here. Just to squeeze that in. Put this on the side here. Now I put the moss fairly close to the tree. I hope it's not going to be a problem. These guys, they they like, I think, more dry than wet. So I'll have to really spray the moss and not water the entire thing when I want to keep it green. I'm already kind of running out of these nice felt moss. A lot of dog hair. All right, so that's all the felt moss that I have. Now I'm gonna use I don't know what these moss are, but they are more, they grow more. I'm not sure if you can even know what these are, but they kind of branch out more, and then they're bigger, they're not as compact. And I do want to moss up this entire thing just to keep the moisture, maybe leaving a little bit of a kind of a path or something. But yeah, okay, so I think now it's more of a general mossing kind of, And I'll try to put these guys more in the back, so that the nice puffy ones can stay in the front. At least they're fitting well. Trying to push these down more into the soil, so one, it makes good contact, and two, it doesn't go over the pot. There's too many dog hairs. They seem to grow really well in dog hair. I guess it keeps the structure, but I don't know if I want that many dog hair in my planting. Here I want the moss to kind of cover up some of the rock, and then you have the crystal exposed at the top. So I'm grabbing the moss out of the bucket that's under the table, and I'm actually washing it a bit before I put it in, just so there'll be more wet and it'll wash off some of the soil that come with it. But it's impossible to get rid of all the soil, and I won't try. See, this side is more in line of what I wanted, because the soil is right at the level of the lip. Once I put the moss in, it's just at the same level with the lip of the pot. I guess this side is okay too. It's not too bad. Okay. Some of this moss is from my neighborhood area, so it probably contains weed of some kind that'll eventually show up. And when that does happen, I'll just remove it. Not a big deal. So I found another felt-like moss. I'll put it near this tree over here. And I'll see if I can find any more which I could use in here. So all these moss are basically just from urban areas. They're not from any forest. A lot of these are from my backyard and from the trail near my house. Put that there. Let's squeeze that in. And if anyone else wanted to find these, you should be able to find it, either in a shady area or maybe your backyard or like a small park with a trail. Yep, the sun is just right on top of me. But it's a good thing that I put half a bottle of sunscreen on. But it's still really hot today. It's 31 degrees as a high today, which is quite high for this time of the year. It usually doesn't get to 30s until July. And right now we're in the beginning of June. Oh. So this guy, I'll kind of wrap it around here. In case that there's a crystal back there, we're not going to see it. This around. That's okay. You can still see it in the top view, just not probably from the front view. And I like forests where you can kind of look from all angles and it would still look okay. It wouldn't just look good from one angle and looks really bad from another. So with the moss on, a lot of the crystals are kind of getting covered. You know, the visibility will reduce, which is perfect. That's what I wanted. But they're still visible. You just can't see them as obvious. There must be another word for obvious. I just can't think of it. This big one in the front. So I just grabbed some more of the felt moss from in between my patio here, because I don't think I have enough of these. And these will really look good, you know, just beside the crystals, because they don't really get that big. So, as you know, if I water it enough, I'm sure they'll just grow in, fill the space. It will look even better. So far, I'm really liking this planting. It's looking better than I expected, to be honest. At least to me. Let's see if I can get in there. There we go, that's perfect. Let me step back and take a look. Okay, looks like all the trees are okay. They didn't get moved that much. Moss is looking green. I think we're good to continue here. Just trying to remove some dog hair, as you see. You probably can't even see them on camera, but you know, they're there, trust me. Yeah, I think our front is almost done here. Just a little bit more in that front section. Right over here. Now I want to get one more felt for this area, so I'll try to find them. All right, I was able to find a little bit more. There's actually a lot more, but they're just not green. Like this one is not really green. But what I've noticed is that basically one rainfall and it'll green up just like that. So now that I have the moss here, the crystal is actually pretty much not visible from the front view, which I think is fine. I just want them to be visible, but not too visible, and not be the focal point of the planting. And I think the moss has done a good job of covering them up. So I think the front is some spots that are not covered. I mean, I don't need to cover all of them because the moss will grow and they'll just cover the places by themselves. But I'll just patch this one spot here. Get rid of some of the dog hair. So I think the front looks pretty good. I'm going to turn this around so that we can do the back and so that you can see easier. So the back is missing a lot of moss. And we'll use bigger pieces to try to cover those up. Start with the edges. I'll put this middle section here. The moss in this tree is much drier than the ones in the bucket. So I have to wet it more. Now, this is the easy part, you know, to put moss on top. Anyone can do that. The hard part is to keep these moss green through time. You either need to have a really humid environment, or you're gonna have to mist it every day, probably more than once a day if you keep it in the sun. But this planting, I'm gonna keep it out of the sun. I'm gonna keep it in the shade because the plant doesn't need it, the moss doesn't need it. So why kill myself? Let's see if I can fit this here. We're almost done with the moss. I think I got about 3 or 4 different kinds of moss in here. which I have no idea what any of them are called. But if you know, you know. Let me know. Basically, I identify them as felt moths, and these there's like these big ones that kind of spread around, and then there's some other different ones which hard to describe. They're all very similar. There's still a big space, or a fairly large space over here. This piece. And just squeeze it in there, in between these. And then this one. Okay, everything seems a bit pretty solid. Not really moving around that much, which is good. So I'm just moving this crystal up a bit more because it was too low, I think, without, you know, with the moss planted. So now it's more visible. And I think I've covered all the spaces that I need to. So I can already see the leaves a bit droopy since I, took them out of the main plant. Basically made them cuttings and repotted them. And let me just add this one little piece. Okay. The rest can go back. Okay, so let's rotate it back to the front. Yeah, okay, so I'm going to clean this area up and I will water this and basically store it. So I'm going to water it with the hose for the first time, just a misty kind of. I'll stand far back and water it go. I'll stand, from afar, and then I'll kind of use the mist function of the nozzle to water this whole thing. I'll do that first to wash out the soil, and then I'll water it again with actual rainwater. something I forgot. I was gonna plug in some of these crystals around the moss once I moss them, so I'll do that now. And I don't think it will take that long, as some of these are fairly small and easy to put in. And I'll probably put in more in the front, just between the moss, so that it doesn't seem like it's moss everywhere. Just to give it more of a crystallized feel of the entire planting. And these are very small things, you know, almost barely noticeable. Try to adjust everything. I'm just trying to get a feel of this is a feel of crystal with stuff going on top. Trying to get rid of dark here. Take a look here. Whoa! That was one of my Japanese maples that just fell over because of the wind. Okay. So here we go with the final watering. So that is the planting of using my first Japanese pot. More of an official forest planting. I'm going to put this in the area that I want to put it. So I wanted to do more of these close-ups when I was building the forest, but as I was working and I forgot. So here's a close-up look at the forest and the crystals. I'll try to go around. Here's the back of the planting. So here's the look of where I'm leaving the forest in for now. This is just a plastic container, as you can see, and there's a little bit of water on the bottom, so there's moisture. I'll keep the lid half open so that it's not too too humid in there, and I'll have to keep this in here for a while and in the shade. One, because the Dracaena is fine with shade, and two, because I need all the cuttings to root. What's this? And I think it's going to take probably a month for them to root. But other than that, I don't think it'll fail rooting unless it's too much water. I'm not going to touch this. I'll just mist it for probably a week, depending on how hot the weather is. And with this container, I only get sun over here maybe for a couple of hours of the day, and it'll be filtered sunlight coming in, so it's not going to be too direct. So I think they'll be okay, but we'll find out in a month or so. So that's the end for the forest. I want to thank Nigel for picking out the pot. I had no idea what pot to pick out, and he kind of was helping me with that, and he recommended this pot, and I thought it was good too. So I want to thank him for that, and I want to thank him for kind of guiding me through how to plant things, what each species does, and especially putting me in his video. My subscriber count pretty much doubled after that video. He the bonsai guy, at the nursery, that video. And for those who joined, I hope you can watch the videos, and hopefully they're enjoyable for you. And yeah, I mean, I'm a beginner, so I hope the channel doesn't disappoint you in one way or another. Okay guys, thanks for watching. That's it for this week.